What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Isaac Inspires. All right, this time we're digging into Ableton. All right, I get this question all the time. How can I use Ableton? How do I optimize it? What's best for live performance? It's Ableton. All right, if you're using Logic, get on the Ableton train. All right, if you're using Pro Tools, I don't know what's going on, but hop on the Ableton train. All right, Ableton is so useful for live settings. There's so many shortcuts, tricks, all the stuff that you can do. All right, so I'm gonna go into a basic Ableton setup here, teach you guys about the IAC driver, how to get that set up. That'll lead us into some of the tactics that we'll use, and then we'll pull in some tracks in arrangement view, and then we'll kind of walk through how to maneuver it the way you want to. All right, we'll go through arrangement view today. I'll do another video on session view, and then we'll hop into some more complex stuff as we go. So this is going to be a series. All right, so if your question doesn't get answered in this one, stay tuned or go ahead and ask it in the comments. If it's easy, we can answer it. If not, we'll do it in another video. All right, cool. Let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do here is we want to get the IAC driver set up. All right, now in order to do that, we have to go into audio MIDI setup. All right, now if you notice, I have a Mac. If you use a Mac, this is already on your Mac, so you don't need to install anything else. If you're on a PC, you may have to find an alternative. I will link in the description some alternatives that you guys can use instead of audio MIDI if you go that route. All right, so when you pull up this window, this is what's going to come up. We're going to go over here to Window, and then we'll click Show MIDI Studio. So we'll do that, and then we'll click on IAC driver. You may see a bunch of things, you may not. Yours will probably look different from mine, but you're looking for where it says IAC driver. All right, you're going to click into that, double click that, and then if it's offline like this, then you just want to click device is online. All right, and if you're looking at this visual here, you'll see it come off and then come on. All right, and then we'll want to create a bus. If there's no bus here, go ahead and click the plus button and it'll create a bus for you. All right, so we're going to click that, and then bus 2 forms. Let's get rid of bus 3. Bus 2 forms, and now you can actually rename your bus if you want to. So let's say you wanted to use your IAC driver for a bunch of different things, you could do that. All right, but bus 2 forms, you can rename it if you want to. For the sake of this video, I don't think we will, but you have the option to if you want to. All right, so then we'll hit apply, and then we'll go ahead and X out of this, X out of this, X out of this. All right, now this is the Ableton template that comes up automatically. All right, so what we're gonna do, this is Ableton 12, by the way. So if you have 11 or 10, it works the same way. Things may be in different places, but it works the same way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into live, and then we'll go into settings. When we hit settings, what we'll wanna do is go into where it says MIDI, or anywhere you see MIDI. It may be different. I think on live 10 and 11 is the third option. Here's the fourth, but you want where it says MIDI. So you'll go ahead and click that. Now, what'll happen here is you'll see input ports, output ports here at the bottom. Okay, and then you'll see IAC driver. We just added bus 2, right? Like I said, if you rename it, then you'll see the name of whatever that driver is here for you. So what we're gonna do is for the input, we're gonna click remote, and we're gonna unclick track. And then for the output, for that same bus, we're gonna hit track, and that's it. So we want our input to be on remote. We want our output to be on track. That'll essentially allow the computer to talk to itself. That's what we want it to do. We want something to happen on the computer, and then the computer will react to what's happening. All right, and again, you'll see what this looks like in practicality here in a second. So once we've done that, that's all we need in terms of these settings. Obviously, you can go through and you can maneuver these however you want to. Change the theme. They have a bunch of different themes here. Audio, you'll want to get your audio set up, file folder, library, plugins if you have any. Now, there is one more thing that you're going to want to do. This is very important. If you go into where it says warp, or record, or it should be some, if it's on live 10 or 11, you'll see something about warping. This auto warp long samples. Okay. If it's on, you want it off. All right. Because when you go in and you start manipulating tempo, manipulating keys for tracks, if it's on auto, it's going to start doing a bunch of weird stuff. So you want to be able to manually do that. All right. So we want to turn that off. That's the only other thing that you need to mess with from a necessary standpoint. Other than that, you can do whatever you want to. Okay. So as we can see here, we had 2 MIDI tracks set up. We have 2 audio tracks set up. We're going to actually get rid of the audio tracks for now. We're just going to leave the 2 MIDI setups. Now, on the right-hand side here, now that our IAC driver is enabled, we want Ableton to talk to Ableton. All right. So we're going to go here to the output, and we're going to make the output that IAC driver. All right. So once we do that, let me move this over a little bit. Okay. Once we do that, it doesn't matter the channel. You can leave it on channel 1. But now the IAC driver is active, and now it's going to talk to itself. All right. And we're going to demonstrate an example here in a second. So let's go ahead and we're going to just click anywhere. We're going to set a locator. All right. So this set button here, right here, sets locators. All right. Locators are essentially launching points. So you can play from anywhere. And then if you want to go back to a place, you just hit the locator and you start from there. Now, what's really cool is what we're about to do is we're about to create a MIDI note that tells Ableton to go back to the locator, the previous locator, after 4 beats. All right. So this is all automated. This is really cool. Okay. So let's go ahead. We're going to double click a space that creates a MIDI track, right? Either that, or you can click, I forget what it is actually, but double clicking is the best way to do it. If you actually go up to, there it is, create, it is Shift Command T. That's how you create a MIDI track. All right. But you can just double click the space and it'll create it. That's the easiest way. So once that happens, you're going to see this box open up down here. I'm going to make this bigger just so we can see what's happening. All right. And you want to pick a note that is not used quite often. All right. So for me, for example, C-2, I'm never going to hit that. you can't even hit it on the keyboard unless you move the octave down too, right? So it's a note that I know is never going to be clicked. So I'm going to use that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a note in, and then I'm going to extend the note for the entire measure of this bar here. All right. So what we're going to do is if you click the letter B on your keyboard, this draw arrow comes up. We're going to head and click C2 or C-2. You'll see this clip comes up, and then we're just going to drag this all the way to the end. All right. So again, if you press and hold B and click, then you can drag. All right. So that's what we want to do. Again, follow along if you have Ableton. This is the best way to learn. All right. Now we have that drawn in. That's great. Now what we're going to do is we want this C-2 to tell Ableton to go back to this locator. That's what we want it to do. Okay. So we're going to utilize the MIDI portion of Ableton. Now you'll see up here in the right hand corner, there's key and then there's MIDI. Okay. What happens is anything that's highlighted can be assigned to a MIDI, like a pedal or a note on your keyboard or whatever. It can be assigned to a controller, anything. It can be assigned to anything. Key will allow you to do the same thing except with a keyboard. So if you want to use P for pause, A for add locator, you know, whatever it is, you can do that. All right. So I'll demonstrate. So for example, if I want, let's say I want to add a locator every time I click on L. All right. So what I did was I clicked what I wanted and I clicked the note on my keyboard. Right. So if I come out of here every time I hit the letter L, it's going to add a locator. Brilliant. This is what I mean. Ableton is clutch. You can't beat Ableton. All right. So you can set things up. You can actually get it to a point where you don't touch the session at all. It's brilliant. Anyway, so these are the types of things you can do, right? So I'm going to erase these for now. So what we want to do with this MIDI note is, since it's not a key, it's a MIDI. What we're going to do is we're going to set this to go back to the previous locator. All right. So in order to go back to the previous locator, this arrow right under set will take us there. Now, if I have another locator, if I go back, it'll take me to number 1. If I go forward, it'll take me to number 2. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to set this MIDI note to go back. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit MIDI. I'm going to play the track by hitting space, and then I'm going to press this back arrow here. All right. So space bar, press this. Now you'll notice what just popped up on the screen. All right. It says note C-2 locators, previous locator. So that's how you know it's been set. So to see this in action, I'm going to play the track and you're going to see what happens. Watch this. Boom. Pops back. Right? And I can set this to do this all day. If I put it right next to this locator, I'm going to zoom in. It'll take me back. It'll do it again. Take me back. It'll do it again. Take me back. All right. So this C-2 is set. Anytime I want to repeat something or loop something, I'm going to set this MIDI note wherever I need it. And I know that once it's on, it could be on auto or it could be on in, I believe. Once it's on, anytime it hits, it's going to go right back. All right. Now you can actually set how long this transition is as well. If you hit this 1 bar here, you can set it up to be a half a bar, right? So when it hits, it goes half a bar instead of that full bar, right? Now, generally, I don't mess with this because this has other implications with Ableton as well, and that's some other stuff that we'll get into later. So generally, I try to do 1 bar and then I don't touch it again. But that's how we do it. All right. So now we can do the same thing with, let's say, stop. All right. So we want Ableton to stop a track when it gets to a certain point. So I'm going to do C#-2 this time. We did B, drew that note, and we're going to drag this across the full clip. All right. So now we're going to get out of here. And then we're going to click on MIDI. Now I'm actually going to move this a little bit further away so it doesn't interfere with this previous one. And then I'm going to play the track using spacebar, and then I'm going to click the stop button because that's what I want to do this time. All right. So here we go. I'm going to click stop as soon as it hits. Oh, so this happens sometimes too. I'm glad this happened actually, where it doesn't register when it goes across. In this case, you want to do it a little bit closer and click on when it gets closer to the MIDI file. All right, so we're going to click on. Oh, okay, perfect. I'm so glad this happened. Okay, now you'll realize that this is not happening. And I'm keeping everything in here like this because I want you guys to work through and kind of see like, hey, if this doesn't work, what's happening? The mistake I made was I didn't set my output to the IAC driver. So now Ableton doesn't know what it is I'm trying to do. It can't register. So I have to make sure that every single MIDI track that I have, I set the IAC driver correctly. Otherwise it won't register. All right. So I'm glad this happened. So now if we go back into MIDI and I play it and I do stop, it registers. All right. So that's how important this IAC driver is. So now, let's say we're playing our track. It's going well. All right, I want to stop here. Boom, stops. I don't have to touch anything. My hands are up, just so you guys can see. Boom, done. All right. So Ableton is amazing. Again, like I said, you can get to a point where you don't have to touch anything. Okay. There's actually, we talked about previous locator. There's next locator. You can actually set this up to where it hits stop, and then there's a second or about a half a second delay, and it pushes it to the next locator automatically. So if you have a set or a template and you just want to go from set to set to set to set, then you can set the stop to be with the next locator, right? There's the delay on that, and then it'll trigger automatically. All right, I'm gonna set up a template probably in the next video, and then kind of walk you guys through how that stuff works. It's, again, Ableton is incredible. All right, so here's the trick for you guys. So we've set up this MIDI. Let's go ahead and pull some tracks in, and then we'll kind of talk through some things with that. And I don't want to make this video super long. So I will, I'll be brief. All right, let's get out of here. We're going to bring in some tracks here that I made for Bless the Lord. This was from last year. It was an arrangement that we did at our church out here. So all I'm going to do is just drag the tracks in here. Now, here's something you'll notice. When you go to drag tracks, what you'll see is that they are horizontal. They're not vertical. Okay. In order to change that, you're just going to press the control button, or not the control button, the command button if you're on Mac. It's control if you're on PC, but command on Mac, if you press and hold, will trigger a vertical stack. Okay, so make sure that you guys do this, otherwise your tracks will be all across and it's going to be horrible. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to drop it. Boom, all my tracks are in. All right, now this song is in 110. In the next video, I'm going to teach you guys about tempo and warping. Okay, tempo and warping is a big deal. If you want to slow down a track, change the key, speed up a track, whatever it may be. All right, but for this video, for the sake of this, we're just going to leave this as is. All right, so here we have our track. Let's go through some basic things here. You'll see that the names of each track are listed here. The audio files are listed here. Now, this light that is on where the number is how you turn a track on or off. So when it's lit up, it's on. When it's off, it's off. Same for any track. All right. The number right under here is the volume of the track. All right. So you can press and hold, drag up or down to control the volume. If you want to reset it, you just double click. All right. We have solo here. We have punch in if you wanted to record over top. And we have our panning here too. So if you want to go left or right, again, double click to get back to 0. And then these two are for sends. We'll talk about sends when we get into creating sets. But sends are going to be one of your best friends, especially if you're using an interface or you're in a really, if you're in a concert and you have multiple outs, you want to have like a click line and a guide line and a tracks line. Sends are going to be your best friend for that. And then here we have our inputs, which you're not going to need if there's tracks. And then here's your outputs, which when you have sends, you can actually change it to your sends. And again, we'll talk about all that later. But here's our track. We set it up so it starts on the first locator.
1, 2, intro.
All right. So right now we have 2 sends already. This is, again, arrangement view. Arrangement view is up here at the top right corner. It's the hamburger. If you go to the vertical, this is called session view. Okay, we'll deal with this in the next video. But this is also where you can find your mixer. Now on Live 12, they've actually allowed you to access the mixer at the bottom. You can't do this in 11 and 10, at least that I've seen. So you may have to go to session view for that, but for this, you can do this here. And then you can see the sends here on the right. They have a reverb and a delay. So that's these two on each track. So if you want a more reverb on something, you can pull that up and it'll send it to the, you see send A pops up here. and send A is reverb, right? So again, we'll get into all that later. But so we have our tracks here. Now, what was the one thing we wanted to do? We wanted to go ahead and go back to the previous locator. So let's say I want to loop this intro. All right. So I'm going to start it. I'm going to figure out where my loop point is. And then I'm going to set this locator. Let's actually rename it to make it easier. Loop. I'm going to set this MIDI clip to be in a place where after one bar, it'll send me back to the intro. All right. So
1, 2, intro. Verse.
All right. So let's go ahead and move this locator here so that when it starts, it starts. All right.
1,
So
2, intro.
well, before we do that, actually, we have to change this tempo just so it lines up well. There we go. The tempo for this is 110, so I just went ahead and changed it up here. Forgot to do that.
1, 2, intro.
All right. So now when we go back to this previous locator, it's just going to say intro and then it's back in. All right.
Intro.
So we want to find the place where this makes sense.
Verse.
All right. So that's going to be right here because we don't want it to hit the verse cue yet. All right. So the cue for that is right here. Right. We don't want it to hit the verse cue. We just want it to loop intro. All right. So we're going to set our clip so that by the end, it loops back to the previous locator. So we're going to turn this back on because I turned this off earlier. Make sure that the IAC driver is on because it is. And then we're going to play this. Watch what happens.
Intro. Intro.
And we could be here all day. If you like the intro that much, be here all day.
Intro.
All right. It's going to go until you tell it not to. Okay. Now, let's say we're done with that. We're going to turn this off.
Verse.
Boom. All right. And again, we can assign this because we talked about this earlier. We can assign this to be a button on your keyboard or like a MIDI clip that you hit. So let's say that you, let's assign this to O for on. All right. Or off. And we start in this position.
Intro.
We're playing it. We're playing it. We're like, you know what, guys? Let's loop this. So I'm going to hit O. It's going to turn on. It's going to loop.
Intro.
Okay. We're playing. I'm like, all right, guys, let's go ahead and go on to the next part of the song. I hit O to turn it off, and it moves right by it. Nothing happens.
Verse.
Ableton is clutch. Ableton is clutch. All right. And then the same thing with the stop cue, right? So let's say instead of the intro looping, I just want to do the intro and I want it to stop for some reason. All right. So
Intro.
I'm going to do this. And it's done. All right. So these tricks are vital, so vital. They make your life so easy, flawless. All right. So go ahead and mess with this. This will be the end of this video here. We'll talk about some more stuff in another video. But go ahead and mess around with this, the IAC driver, getting your MIDI clip set up. Again, double click a space, press and hold B, draw, extend. When you do that, then you'll set that clip by hitting MIDI. You'll play it and then you'll click on whatever it is you want it to do. Once you do that, it should pop up right here. Once it does, you're good to go. All right. Now, this is the bare minimum of the tricks that you can do. All right. There's like fade in, fade outs that you can do. Ableton is amazing. All right. So in the next video, we're going to talk about some more tips and tricks that you can do. And then we'll actually get into putting a session together. This is the way I like to do it. There's a lot of different templates that you can use, but I'll talk about the way I like to set up my songs, and then we'll put it into a live template with a couple other songs and kind of work through some things. All right, so hope this helps. There we go. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I will talk to y'all. So, peace.